So this is in regards to this question, why now? Why did she come out now, this E. Jean Carroll, and go after Trump? Well, because they changed the laws. That's why. Yeah, so this article, this was released on May 10th. You can see over here, May 10th of this year. And it says in this article, E. Jean Carroll, the woman who accused former President Donald Trump of rape, assault, and defamation, said Wednesday she helped New York Democrats change a state law so she could sue. How can nothing suspicious about that at all, right? That's what I mean. These rage-hating feminists, these man-hating, rageful feminists. They have this. You can see it. Like the women on The View are the perfect example. The whole panel, all of them. It doesn't matter which ones. I know they come and go, but they're all pretty much the same. There's this underlying rage, and you see it come out sometimes. Actually, a lot of times you see it come out, no matter what the topic is. But it's that underlying rage none of them ever deal with, and they project it onto the rest of the world, most especially men, and then go after them. These people, the ends justify the means to them. So here's how hypocritical and what liars I think all of them are, is that Trump was eradicating trafficking. The most funding ever was put towards that. He had a special counsel in the White House that only dealt with that, which is why anybody that paid attention, apparently none of the women on The View did, but of course they wouldn't, because they don't support victims of trafficking. They don't support victims of assault. They don't support victims of rape or child abuse or they support pedophiles. They do. And then they will lie at any cost to go after somebody that's trying to end the abuse to women, trying to end the abuse to children, trying to put a stop to pedophilia. And Trump was doing it, and it played out because of the fact that U.S. Marshals, every week there were operations going on around the United States. I talked about it before. I screenshotted every single one of them because everybody wondered. It was right before COVID, but suddenly, COVID made everybody forget about that. But that's what was going on. It was like something's different. Something's happening. And I was seeing all these women, as I've said. So do any of these women care? No. Yet those women will tell you with their voice how they support women, how they support women's rights, how they support, they don't want slavery and racism. Yet they are the biggest racist and liars of all, because they just speak these words. Trump, on the other hand, was actually implementing policies, putting money from his administration into these programs so that these women would get help that had been trafficked and abused, so that children and families were saved from trafficking. He was actually doing something about it. Rarely spoke about it, but was doing something about it, and we saw it play out. Now, The View, they won't mention that, no, because they have one agenda. I mean, think about it. The View is I'm bringing them up because those women on that panel remind me of people like her, that they're just radical globalists that will at any cost take anybody down that doesn't serve what their political party is. That's what she serves. That's what the women on The View serve. They serve their political party. They serve that party. It's 1984, totally. That's who they bow down to. That's who they do the bidding for. And all the while, they convince themselves, maybe just from saying it over and over again, how much they care about women's rights, how much they care about women not having abuse done to women. Yet get liars like this. They're all liars then that come out of the woodwork, just like they did to Brett Kavanaugh, okay? That woman, I forget her name, okay? Probably paid a bunch of money under the table to do it too, because she never said anything, just like this one didn't. This E. Jean Carroll had that huge column for decades and decades, where she was outspoken about everything, never once mentioned any of this. How interesting. But she helped get this passed with State Governor Kathy Hochul. They signed the Adult Survivors Act into law in 2022. The legislation allowed a one-year look-back window for survivors of sexual assault to sue their alleged abusers. And this also says, quote, Eugene actually helped to get that law passed. Carol's lawyer, Roberta Kaplan, said, it passed last year. We filed. It was Thanksgiving Day, the first day you could sue. The first day you could sue. We filed it just after midnight on Thanksgiving. And there are a lot of women throughout the state and hopefully throughout this country that they will get other laws like this. No, you should hope not, because the people that come forward that get all this attention, they're usually they're actually the abusers. There's no way that she had that column for all those years and never once said anything to anybody. Oh, she said it to two people who were also journalists, as if anybody can trust any of them at this point. But she said nothing, and then has the law helps the governor change the law just so she could go after, and they were the first ones to file. How ironic. How ironic. No, it was about serving her party. That's what she's doing. That's what trash does. Yeah, I'll say it. I have no problem saying it, because there's a very big difference between Donald Trump and what this woman and these women on The View, all of these man-hating rage women in the feminist group that will go after any man. They will lie through their teeth. They will do and say, there's no boundaries with them. Because instead of them addressing within themselves their own rage, that's always there. You see it in these radical man-hating feminists. You see it. It's always there, even when they're not raging. And The View is an example of that, always raging at something. And even when they're not, you see there's this underlying, like there's something they're not addressing in themselves. It's very obvious. Yeah, and so at any chance, they're going to go after, project that rage and anger onto every man that they can. And Donald Trump just happens to be that poster child, because he is a threat to their agenda, which is a globalist, communist agenda. And they just don't like him because they hate men. So that's why they're even more outspoken and more falling all over themselves to try to take him down. They're showing who they are. E. Jean Carroll, in my opinion, showed who she is. And everybody that says that they believe her, it's only because they're so far in that camp that because common sense should tell you just go watch any of her interviews. That, like, something's not right. I mean, her dog's named Vagina. She named her dog Vagina. Like, was she behind the Pussy Hats for the women's rights movement? Because that was all like Project Pussy Hat or something it was called. I don't know. I don't even care. I'm not saying she was. It's just, yeah. It's a rage within these women that really, in my opinion, just, saying, in my opinion, it should be addressed. And instead of them addressing their own inner rage that they have, they project it onto everyone, most especially any man they can. Donald Trump, well, he's been the punching bag for a while now, because he represents everything they hate. But make no mistake about it, okay? He was actually doing something about abuse to women. What have these women ever done? Or this kind of women, or the women on The View ever done? They only talk about caring about women, when really they only care about one thing, themselves and serving their party.